Happy pre-Turkey Day, everybody. I hope you beautiful people are having a wonderful week so far. It is cloudy, crappy, miserable, humid, disgusting here. Hope y'all's week's going better than mine. I would like to hit ads for authors today. I have done work in advertising for probably 15 years for various businesses I've run. I have done online ads, I've done SEO-based promotions, I've done a bunch of other different stuff. I've tried Facebook, social medias, I've done print, I've done lots and lots of ad work. I've brought millions upon millions of dollars of business to my organizations through those ads. I might know what I'm talking about. Periodically, I'll have conversations with an author or be in an author group, and there's people taking courses, there's people who've got ideas in their heads about how they're going to do things and stuff like that. That's fine, to each their own. I'm not going to tell you how to promote your books. I don't have the way, I have a way to promote your book. I'm going to lay out the perils of running ads as an author. Not to bury the lead. The greatest peril that you're running into when you're advertising a book is it's a low ticket item. What I mean is, you're going to be spending so much per click, so much per action. Past that action, past that fee that you pay, you are going to have a conversion rate. Experts have 5%, 10% conversion rates on simple products that everybody needs. Your conversion rates drop when you have a high ticket product, when you have a long consideration time. Actions climb and become easier when they're low cost, like sign up for an email for a free course, that kind of thing. If you have a free course, or if you're giving somebody a piece of content that's worth $25 for signing up, you should be carrying a high single digit to 15% minimum on your conversion rate. That still means that you need to put 10 people through your system, 10% of people closing rate. You have to put 10 people clicking on your system to get one close. Each click costs $1. That means 1 out of 10 people sign up. Suddenly, each person who has signed up has cost you $10. That's just math. That's the same kind of math that pervades all ads. This is a hard truth about advertising. You do not get to tell me I don't like math, and in the same breath tell me I'm going to be promoting my book with paid ads. That is a fast track to getting your bottom. Advertising, just like the stock market, is a very expensive universe. You can throw away money faster than you can imagine. Personal story about advertising. I had a pay-per-click manager who was not doing what they should have been doing. We were in the process of replacing the pay-per-click manager. When I stood up the new ad campaign, I forgot one piece of information. When we woke up the next morning, 8 hours after I commissioned the campaign, we had blown $4,400 in 8 hours for nothing. We received 0 lead because I targeted the world instead of Houston. And everybody in the world clicked on my ads and thought I was the greatest thing since sliced bread until they realized I was in Houston. There was no way I was driving to Liverpool, England. Ads are a very expensive proposition, especially for beginners. Okay, that said and out of the way. Mistake made, lessons learned. Do not make the same mistake that I made. When you're producing ads, your book is probably going to be bringing in only $2 to $2.50 each book. That means that if you have a 50-cent cost per click, you can only have 4 people click on your ad before your entire book's return is consumed. Ads for a new author is just another skill set that is going to bury you. I am very cautious when people say, it's my first book, now I'm getting into advertising, because that is a very fast road to taking an infinite margin business and turning it into an, oh my God, where did the rent money go business. Ads get expensive very quickly when you forget one thing, and as a beginner, it's extremely difficult for someone to teach you how to make a book and then put you into a position where you can successfully launch ads. Launching ads is one of the more complicated, difficult, and higher risk activities you can do as an author. If you're self-publishing, your book is free. Your time and your investment and your learning is all that goes into the book. As soon as you start tying real money to your advertising and your promotion, now all of a sudden, you do not have an infinite return business. You now have a cash stake in the game, and your game has changed. Okay, lecturing complete. You are going to have a conversion rate between your clicks and your buys. Amazon ads are supposed to have a higher click-through rate. That assumes you get your targeting right, that assumes you get your pricing right, that assumes you get your book right, that assumes that your book is worth a damn, that assumes a whole bunch of stuff beyond you just creating the ad. You can create the greatest ad in the world, and if your product is being displayed, if your headline is bad, if your cover is bad, and you make a horrible first impression, they're going to skip you, and you've now spent the money, because click on the greatest ad in the world. Those folks who've gone to that ad to your book see the book, they hate the book. Guess what Amazon's going to do? Amazon's going to realize you have a horrible click-through and buy-through rate. Amazon's going to take that and start charging you more because your crappy ad is not converting, and Amazon does not want clicks on ads that do not convert. You are going to be effectively silent fined for having a book that's bad, no matter how good your ad is. If you have the greatest copy in the world and your book doesn't sell in the back end once people get to your book page, you're boned. You're going to set yourself up for a poor quality ad, and eventually Amazon and all the other PPC campaigns are going to start charging more. That's just the way it works. Naturally, even if you don't get a penalty for having a low converting ad, you are taking a penalty because you're having a crapload of people click on your great ad and nobody buying your crappy book. And your book can be the best written book in the world, but if it's not selling because your cover is horrible, you get what I'm driving at. There's a couple schools of thought with ads. You can chase ads and use ads as a way to build up reviews in your book early on. Good idea, solid principle. You need to go into it understanding that you are not advertising your book, you are paying for reviews. Is the effect that you want to achieve. Because if you're spending $2 on advertising and your book is bringing in $2.10, you've now made 10 cents for every single book, effectively. If your book is bringing in $2 and you're spending $2.50 on advertising, you are now selling $1 for 50 cents. Like I Love Lucy, you can't make that up in volume. When you're running your ads with a new book, and it's your only book, you need to understand that if you're doing that campaign, you need to set your budget with money you can afford to lose, because you're effectively gambling. You don't really know the rules of the game, but you're getting in there putting your money on the table anyway. That's called gambling. That's why Wall Street University is so expensive. That's why advertising as a new vendor is so expensive. The other time that you might want to consider advertising and promoting is when you have subsequent products, subsequent books. If I have a book that brings in $2 and it's the first book in a series, say I have 6 books, each book thereafter brings in $2. I can spend $2.50 on that first book because I know on the back end I'm going to have an 80% read-through rate, because your serial readers who've purchased your book and now invested in your characters, they want to find out what's going to happen with Samson and Persephone. Those are characters from my book. People continue to read their series. They're going to read book 3. So now your math has changed because you have a series. You are not selling one book. You're selling the read-through from book 1 to book 2. You're going to have a drop off into book 2, say it's an 80%, to book 3. I'm going to do some fiddly math. If I sell 100 books, $2 per click, and I'm making $2 per, I've now broken even on that first book. I have a subsequent sale rate of 80%. I sell 100 books, the next book sells 80. Those 80 books that I sell are now free. I've effectively made from that burst of advertising, from that $200 I spent on advertising, I have 80 books sold. 80 times 2 is $160. From those 80 books that I've sold, 80% of those buy the third book, so call that 64. You now have 64 books that are sold. You're making $2 in those books. 64 times 2. You now have the 160 plus the 64 times 2. That's how much you've made because you now advertise the series. When you have that series of books, it makes sense. You can put that first book out there as a lead magnet and have people read through your series. But you need to go in with your eyes open, knowing and understanding that is your goal, to sell additional books in your series. Pretend that you have a service after. You make a professional book for yourself. You have an oil rig business and you're selling oil rigs. And you're selling investments, you're selling insurance, you're selling some high-ticket item. Let's define that as every unit that you sell is worth in commission to you of $2,500 or more, just for easy math. So if you have a product or service that costs $10,000 into your pocket every time it closes, so you sell 100 books, 100 people are in your orbit, 1% buy-through rate, 2% buy-through rate, 5% buy-through rate. How much are you willing to spend on ads now? If you're making $10,000 on each one of your pieces that you sell, your high-ticket items that you sell, because you're selling insurance or legal services, when that system evolves and you've moved 100 books into the hands of customers and you have a 5% buy-through rate, those 5 customers now represent $50,000. The book is not important. The customers who are read your book and then bought your follow-on service is really important. At that point, if you can do as many of these things as you need to, and you're not inhibited by too much traffic, and you can pull 100 people in, you can pull 1,000 people in by advertising the book, how much are you willing to pay on your advertising for those first 100 books? Because if you're only spending $2 each book, I will trade $200 to make $50,000 any day of the week. I will max out my credit cards doing it, and then I will take out a freaking bank loan to do it. And I will keep doing it. Because if I'm trading $200 and I'm making $50,000 on the back end, all day, every day. When you understand that system, when you have that math in place, you can make an intelligent decision about that. That's why if I'm having a conversation with somebody and they say, I don't like math, comma, I am now advertising my book, it's just, there's a reason I don't have any hair because I'll pull it out otherwise. Learning ads on the fly in PPC University is really expensive. Your rent can disappear like that. Be very careful diving into PPC stuff for your first book. You have just mastered a bunch of skills just to get your book to the publishing point. Throwing on PPC on top of that, it's a risk. You're taking a zero risk learning exercise where I have now learned how to publish a book. You've taken that zero risk, zero cost learning exercise and you have turned it into a, oh my God, where did the rent go? That kind of risk can be catastrophic. You're adding risk to your business. If you just take your book, you publish the book and drive on, you may not sell anything, but you've learned how to publish your book. Your next one will be better. Learn your systems, learn how things work, lay your foundations with your books. Then you can start advertising and people realize, oh my God, this dude's got 50 books. This gal's got 150 books. I need to read the rest of her stuff because this one was really great. You have a different conversation, but you've spent more time laying your foundation. When you've got that foundation, you can more precisely develop your advertising. You have more slack in the system to support your advertising. When you're just paying for a single book so that you're buying reviews for your book, I get that it's a deliberate system. I struggle with the justification of adding the risk to the business. Please don't hate me if your courses said something different. I've been doing the book producing thing for a long time. I've been doing advertising and promoting in PPC for a long time. I'm extremely successful with it. I'm managing very large campaigns where the advertising cost in PPC is below 0.76% ad cost. That means that they're spending 75 cents to make $100. When you're running your PPC campaigns, your pay-per-click campaigns, be very careful. Do your math first. You need to understand the system. You have taken a zero cost, zero risk business where your only commitment is your time and your learning. By throwing PPC on top, you're putting money onto the craps table. I get some people like that sort of stuff. I don't gamble. I will rather invest in myself than throw dice or spin a wheel or whatever. Games of chance don't blow my skirt up. When you don't know the rules of the game, you can't win. You will lose. PPC is the same way. Throwing money onto some stock tip that your brother's uncle's pet's breeder told you about, it's just, there's a reason why people say that Wall Street's a scam, because they don't understand the rules of the game. And they go out there, they throw their money out, they get burned, and suddenly it's a scam because I got burned because I didn't know the rules of the game I was playing. PPC is the same way. You can literally lose a monthly income in 8 hours when you fail to set your campaign up right. From experience, be very careful advertising your first book as an author. I am not saying this as an insult. I am saying this as a caution. Your first book is probably not going to be your best. The more time you spend writing, the more time you spend perfecting your craft, the better your books, the better your covers, the better your stories, the better your presentation, the better your information is going to get. You may want to depublish your first book because you go back later and think it's so bad. I rewrote the entire 950-page Guardsman series because I did not like how it sounded when I put it to audio and I was listening to myself reading my book back to me. The paragraphs were confusing me because I didn't like the style I wrote in. I rewrote the entire 3-book trilogy and republished them. Be very careful when you're stepping into the world of ads. You can lose your shirt in an instant. It's extremely expensive making mistakes with advertising. I do pay-per-click for a living. I understand ads. It's a skill I've acquired over many years. I think the first pay-per-click ads I ran was 2007. I think I ran my first pay-per-click ads for houses I was building. And then I ran pay-per-click ads for a healthcare company I was running with the ex-wife. And I took a break from pay-per-click ads and I got into a business and was running millions of dollars worth of revenue through that business, driven by pay-per-click ads and print ads. I have spent a lot of time doing advertising. I know the ad copy. I know all those additional ancillary skills, and you're going to have to master those if you want to take the next step from going from just publishing to promoting, etc. It's an extremely expensive game to learn on. Please be careful if you're going to advertise your first book. You can get yourself into a pinch very quickly. Place your budget. Do not let the computer draw more than XYZ amount, $100, $200 from your account in a period. Limit how much the thing can take. Otherwise, it's just going to build a crap out of you, and it will just run up the charges until it feels satisfied, regardless of whether your ads are targeted where you need them. Be careful. Follow the instructions. If you trust the teacher, be careful. Ads can get you in trouble quickly. As somebody who does pay-per-click for a living and makes a pretty good chunk of money doing it, who's built my own business on it, I will tell you, pay-per-click ads are extremely powerful. You can leverage a lot of business towards yourself with pay-per-click ads. But you need to understand how your business is translating that click to that purchase to the monetization on the back end. You need to understand that math. Once you've got that math and you can draw it out in a crayon from ad to click to charge to what your percentage rate of click to close is, and then how much you're making on the back end, be it $2 for a single book, be it $300 and something for so many books because you got a series and you're selling a chunk of 100 books and blah, 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 to $10,000 per high ticket item at a 5% close rate. At that point, you just throw the frickin' valves and let the water run. You just advertise the crap out of it because now you're just monetizing everything. When you have that system in place, you can throw money at it. He who can spend the most in advertising wins. And you can't spend the most if you're only making $2 on a single frickin' book. If you're making $10,000 on a back-end sale that 5% of your book readers read, each one of those books is now worth basically $500 on average. Because if you've got a 5% click-through rate, that's 1 out of 20, $10,000 divided by 20, about 500, I think. It's early in the morning. I just got myself beat up for the last hour and a half. When you understand that system, you can make that happen. If you don't understand it, the system's going to run you, and it's going to run you over. It's going to run you over like a freaking train, and each car that clacks over your little skull is going to cost, and it's going to cost, and it's going to cost. Be careful with pay-per-click ads on books. Books do not have the margin to support just running pay-per-click ads by themselves. You need more to it, or you need to understand this is my budget because I'm trying to accumulate reviews. Be careful. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. I hope to have this out today, but we'll see. Have a great one. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Talk to you soon.